Degenerate Sessions interviews. I am your host, Tooz. I got a special guest today. We talked about it the other day. I was looking forward to this interview. I did my research. I am ready. And my guest is Gia Miller from Impact Wrestling. How are you?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I had the day off. I went swimming today. I'm all tanned, and I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
So let's jump right in here. Main question I always ask, I love to know, how and why did you get into wrestling?
So many reasons. But the number one is that I grew up watching it with my dad. We bonded over wrestling. It was always something like Monday nights we were either watching football or wrestling, or we were flipping back and forth. And it was just something that we bonded over and we loved. My whole family loved it. And as I got older, I played sports and loved them. And then I really got into theater and production and just putting on a show. I really loved to entertain people. And so I was like, well, I think I'll be a professional wrestler. Like, it was always something that I wanted to do. Yeah. But it was never... Like, it was just like, oh, wouldn't it be crazy if I did that? It was never, like, something that I really genuinely thought that I could do until I just had this moment where I was like, that's what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life in some form or fashion.
What age was that? Did you decide you wanted to do wrestling?
I guess, like, that moment happened when I was actually a freshman in college. Okay. I had gone to college for theater and journalism and creative media, all of which I use every day. And I went in a director's office because I wasn't getting cast, but I didn't feel like I wasn't a good actress. I just wanted to know what I could do better. And the director said, I think that you have something. You have something very special, but maybe theater isn't the place for that. And she said, you have this thing where I want to listen to you when you talk. You command a room when you speak. Yeah. So sometimes it can overshadow people. And I'm like, okay, well then, I'm going to be a wrestler. That's what I'm going to do. I need that. So that's how I got into it. And that's the day that I made that decision. And I've just been working towards it from there on. And here I am.
Well, that's a perfect personality for wrestling. You need that in wrestling. Gimmicks, announcers, interviewers, we all need that personality to attract the fans and bring them back, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us about your journey. Start us at the beginning of your journey, where you started, and everything from there, if you can, in detail.
Sure. Actually, the journey didn't start all that long ago. I have only just now hit a year being in wrestling. And I started training last year in May in North Carolina with George South. And that was the first opportunity that I had to train. I'm from Mississippi. I went to school in Alabama. There are training schools, but there weren't many that had the type of reputation and the level of, the level of training that I wanted to learn and hold myself to. And so I went to North Carolina for a summer, and I stayed and trained, but I still had a year of school left. And I had to go back to school. And so he hooked me up with someone who we have seen on Impact Wrestling, Mike Jackson. He took the reins from there on out. And when I met him for the first time thinking that I was just going to continue training, I actually had my first match. Now, I knew from the experience that I had with friends in the business or just being around the business, you take your gear. Everywhere you go, you take your gear. And so I had some gear that I had made, and which I do make all my gear.
Awesome.
I took it with me. I had a couple of 8x10s, and he said, oh, so this is who you're going to be wrestling tonight. And I was just like, okay, let's do this. I mean, are you ever really ready? That's something I heard a lot. Like, how do you know when you're ready? Or did you feel like you were ready? Of course not. I didn't feel like I was ready.
What was going through your body at the time? Emotion?
I was overwhelmed, but I was excited. The number one thing that I felt was like, I felt so much gratitude.
Yeah.
That, because there are people that, and I still feel that to this day, there are people that have been in this business for 10, 15 years and they're good and haven't made it on TV or haven't done this, haven't done that. They just haven't gotten an opportunity, and I really believe it's the right place at the right time. You just have to be there. And so everything that I've gotten so far, everything that I've done so far has been me being in the right place at the right time, and holding myself to a professional standard, which will also get you a really long way in any business. Yeah.
100%. Can you go into your first match? Details, what you felt, what it was like, especially in the ring?
So my first match was a mixed tag match. Mike Jackson was my tag partner. And there was another team who it was they did their best to lead me. I won't say anything that apparently I did chop someone too hard, whatever that may be. I was very intimidated. I will say that I felt, but Mike did a very good job of like, here's the few things that we're gonna do together. Here's how it's gonna work. And if you panic, just breathe. Just get a rest hold, breathe, talk. Like it's okay. You're in front of 25 people at the National Guard Armory. It's gonna be okay. This isn't WrestleMania. Like just take your time, just breathe. And that's what I did, and everything went really well. I think I only forgot like one spot, and it wasn't anything major. I have messed up the finish before, which I feel like everybody has. But everything went really well. It wasn't, we want to go fast. Like we want to go right out of the gate and just go. But you have to take that time to just breathe, slow down, and tell that story. Doesn't necessarily have to be 5-star wrestling, but tell that story.
Yeah.
And so we did. That was how we set it up was at the very beginning of the night, their like big heel comes out and is talking crap, and then I come out and I'm like, you shouldn't say those things. Like people are here and want to see like real wrestling, stuff like that. And he gave me the classic, well, you need to get back in the kitchen, young lady. And I gave him a big slap across the face, and it set that up. It didn't have to be something crazy. We just tell a story wherever we go. And that was my first match. It was about 15 minutes.
Okay.
I was only about 5 of it, but it was really fun, and that's been my training, has been matches in the past several months. But especially with like everything that's been going on, I haven't been able to do even that yet. So Impact really gave me a huge opportunity to be around and be in the business and learn completely different sides of it that I'd never worked in before. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'll give you a quick story. I worked for Impact for one event. I built the ring and everything. I wasn't on TV. And it was great. It was Rebel in Toronto. It was a Rebel pay-per-view in Toronto. It was Morrison versus Brian Cage for the title.
Yeah, I have that poster on my wall.
Yeah. It was. I was there. I was building the ring and stuff. I met everyone, and it was an awesome experience. So I completely agree. And you can't be afraid to make mistakes. We learn from them, right? We're not going to fail. We learn from them. My first interview with Zicky Dice, I was sweating buckets, and I've known Zicky for years over the internet, but I've known him, and I was sweating and freezing, and it was funny, but whatever, right? We grow. So, just keep growing, right? Because you definitely have it. You're natural. So take us on your next part. What happened after that? Where did you land after your first match and stuff? What promotions did you go to before you ended up with Impact? I know you just started a little while ago, but give us as much detail as you can.
So I basically went everywhere Mike Jackson went. That was what I did.
Okay.
I followed him around, and after a couple matches doing mixed tag matches, he let me do a singles match. And the thing about wrestling in rural Alabama is that there's not a lot of it. Period.
Okay.
There's not a lot of it. And because it was during while I was actively going to college, I couldn't travel to the Midwest, or I couldn't travel to the Northeast, or these places that I would have liked to go. But that was my training and things that I did. I learned so much. Just going in these awesome high school gyms and National Guard armories, just like everybody talks about. Like, it's just, I got to experience that, and I was excited for that. Like,
100%.
My mama, bless her heart, she has in her brain, like, it's either TV wrestling or it's nothing. Like, she doesn't, or she didn't understand that there was an in-between.
Yeah.
And, so she actually got to come to several of those shows. She was mortified. But she, like, had a lot of fun and, like, kind of realized that just because I'm not on TV doesn't mean that I'm not a star in someone's eyes. Like,
yes.
And that's all she ever wanted for me, because she's my mama and she just wants that for me. But she got to see that firsthand. Of course, my dad thought it was the coolest thing in the whole world. But yeah, I just traveled all over rural Alabama, just going to these little middle of nowhere shows that were always so fun. And those crowds, they get into it. I wrestled in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, that just general little Bible Belt area of America. And then I came up to the Midwest, just like a couple months ago, kind of by accident. I came up for spring break to stay with some friends, and quarantine happened, and I've been here ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. But I have an apartment now, so I'm not living on my friends' couches. I have an apartment here in the Midwest, and we're just gonna start working with Rockstar Wrestling. Just kind of whatever we can whenever things pop up.
So let's jump right back in. Go into your training. How's your training? I know for wrestlers and everybody who's in entertainment, it's very rough on the body. Not saying it's bad. It's a very long and hard procedure. How is your training daily?
So since we don't have any like active training happening right now, I'm just kind of doing what I can to stay in shape. I work out pretty much every day. If I can't get to the gym, I'll do Pilates at home, which is super fun. But starting up this week is Zachary Wentz's new school, Believe Wrestling, which I will be training with them, which I'm super, super excited about. So I'll actually be able to get back into that constant, like, normal training routine. Training is fun for me. I talk to a lot of people who've been in the business for a while, and they kind of get a little jaded to it, and they're just like, oh gosh, like I hate taking bumps or this, and I'm like, I love it. I want a bump all the time. Let's go. It's so much fun for me, especially when you get a good group of people that all works together really well, and you can be creative. Because of course you need to learn the basics, but like one of my favorite things was when I first started training, we would do a game, and it was just chain wrestling. That's all it was. And you just pass each other off to people. It was almost like Monkey in the Middle, but with you. And so you pass people off, and train, and it was so much fun because you had to get creative with how you did things. And if you weren't at that level where you could get creative, it helped you work on your basics.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. I love like training games like that. And I like to go to other schools to see how people do things differently. So yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I know what you mean. It's definitely cool to pick people's brains, like even like yourself from me and other people I've interviewed. It's fantastic, and it helps us grow, right? The only reason I got to start doing my dream is because of my following. So I know what you're saying, and it just happens, right? Like you said, you have to let it happen. I didn't push anything. It all happened organically, and I completely feel you there. Let's jump into Impact. How do you feel being there? What's it like being there? And tell us about your experiences there so far.
So it's funny that you say, like, happening organically. That, me being introduced to Impact was really, it was almost like a Cinderella story, if I want to say that. I went, it just goes to, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm one of those people that, like, looks in the mirror and is like, what if this happens today? Thinks of the craziest thing that could possibly happen out of whatever I'm about to do.
Yeah.
And this was one of those things. I was like, what if I show up and I just impress people and then I have a job? And that's what happened. Now, it happened a little bit different than that. What happened was, I went with Mike Jackson. He was going to be on the show in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I went with him just to go help out backstage, as local talent typically does.
Yeah.
And I was the only girl that day, and they were like, "Oh, you can just go in the women's locker room." And I was like, "Okay, all right." So, and I had my little gear bag, and I wheeled myself in there, and sitting there is Madison Rain and Kylie Ray, and I'm just, "Hey guys, nice to meet you. I'm Georgia." And they started talking to me. They were so just like welcoming and friendly and kind. And we just talked and talked and talked and talked. And we had just like a really good conversation. And more people started to trickle in. And I met everyone else. And I was just kind of trying to stay out of the way. And later that day, Madison Rain comes up to me and says, "I have a question. How would you feel about doing backstage interviews?" And I was like, "I would be ecstatic. I have a career in journalism, or I have a degree in journalism, so I'd love to do that." And she's like, okay, let me talk to some people. And she talked to me later and was like, "We might, do a tryout for you today." And something ended up happening, and I didn't even get to try out that day. But my foot was in the door. I felt confident. I was like, You know what? I made a really good connection. She was so kind to me, and I clearly made at least a little bit of an impression on her.
Yeah.
Fast forward, quarantine happens.
I know.
Nobody really knows what to do. Impact's planning on having tapings. They don't have a backstage interviewer. They call me up and say, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "Absolutely." And so then I went in with no tryout. I went and filmed 6 weeks of TV, and they actually, like, something that, like, Impact does have a bad reputation from past things that are no longer even part of what they are now. They've done such a
my
good job.
experience with them was fantastic. With them was fantastic.
And one of those things that people always say, like, "Oh, well, Impact doesn't pay their talent. They don't pay." I was paid more than I was originally told, and I could not, like, even believe it.
Yeah.
Because it was just kindness. They were always so respectful to me. They never treated me. It would have been very easy for them to treat me like, "Who's this girl? Nobody knows her."
Yeah.
she's lucky to be here. But rather than treating me like I was lucky to be there, they were like, we're lucky to have you.
That's awesome.
That's how I was treated. And
that's how it could be.
The women in that locker room are so supportive and kind, and it's genuinely, it's like a dream being there and being being in the locker room. It's really awesome. Everyone's so nice.
They're amazing. Madison Ring was awesome to me, and she didn't have to be. I was just building a ring. She's one of the only ones I had a little bit of a conversation with, and Melissa Santos, Brian Page, 2 minutes, Sammy Callahan, Rich Swan, and the Lucha Brothers. So they're awesome. Yeah, I completely agree with you, and the experience there's amazing, and I'm happy for you that you're there.
Yeah, it's a very good, just a very positive locker room to be in and around.
You need that.
Because I was horrified my first day. Like, I was like, I don't want to be in people's way, and especially, like, everybody's, a little wary of each other, given there's a global pandemic. But they were just, everyone was like, oh, good morning, it's good to see you. One of my favorite things in this entire world is every morning when he saw me, Rhino would say, good morning, young lady. And it got me so excited for the day. I was always pumped. And,
100%.
Yeah, and just so nice. And the old school guys are some of the kindest men in the entire world. And it threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
It's like, I know what I saw in my head as a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old watching them on TV. And I'm expecting them to be crazy and wild. And they're like, oh, nice to meet you. Hi. We're so happy that you're here. And I'm like,
Tommy Dreamer.
Yes,
Right.
He's one of them. That is just always so nice to me.
Okay.
I met him before I was involved with Impact. I met him at a show in Canada, actually, at Ethan Page's promotion.
Okay.
And he had a great conversation with me, just like talking to me like we've known each other forever. And he is a really awesome dude, and I am so thankful for that friendship that we've kind of cultivated over the past couple of months, seeing each other at tapings and stuff, and really with everybody. I definitely at this point don't even feel like, I definitely am very thankful to be brought back.
Yeah.
But because I'm not signed, that is one thing that people like, oh, you're signed. No, I'm not signed. They very graciously bring me back, but at this point, I'm just excited to see everybody. I'm not even nervous about it anymore because of that positive environment that they built.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to go be around everybody. I'm super excited. It's like, oh, I'm going to see my friends.
That's how it should be, 100%. No one should be afraid to go to work. Even in this industry, we've known it's been happening for years. I'm happy it's been called out and it's not going to happen anymore. Especially promoters and owners, they should not treat talent like that. That's one thing I am totally against. I treat all my superstars with the same respect. You're all superstars to me, whether you're indies, professional, just starting. It's you guys take your time to talk to me, right? So I want to give you the utmost respect. I'm not gonna be rude. I don't know how someone could do that. You want your talent to come back. You want to hear positive things. You want them to talk positive about you, and that's how you get more work. So I'm really happy to hear that for you. I didn't doubt Impact 100% because, like I said, I was there. I met Austin Ace. I met everyone. Josh Alexander. It was incredible. Look, I'm getting nervous and freezing just talking about it, right? So it's throwing me off here. But it's a great experience, and I'm really happy for you. Even not being signed and them bringing you back, giving you work, which is awesome, right? Like you said, you can pick anything, and it lets you do other projects, which is big. Mm-hmm. That is big. Can you go into any other projects other than the ones you named? If you can, I'm not putting you on the spot or blast. Any projects coming up that you can talk about?
Sure. So it's less of a project, more of a movement. But
Okay.
I'm a part of the Safe Wrestling Collective, which is something that has come about and was founded because of everything that's been happening here, like everything that's been come to light in the past couple of weeks. We are dedicating our time and our resources to help promotions, training schools, or anybody that needs it with code of conduct policies, de-escalation training, anything that we can do to help other people make wrestling safe.
Yeah.
For everybody, for the fans, for the performers, for the backstage people, because like I feel like those are your backstage, people, cameramen, sound people, lights, people who run the music. They kind of go under the rug almost. They don't get talked about enough. All the things that they do to make us look good.
Yeah.
And I think they're subject to a lot of abuse a lot of times, especially from, just like, I don't know many people that have done this, but I have seen it happen, just like talent, like treat them like they were not even a part of this.
Yeah.
If they weren't here, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I've worked in production for theater, and I know the type of work that goes into that kind of stuff, and they don't get enough credit.
No.
So that's our goal, is to help everyone work together.
Yeah.
Of course, we're not going to shove this on people, but we are going to reach out. I'm the representative for the southern states because we don't have many people in the South, and that was where I started. So I'm reaching out to promotions and training schools to help them usher in a new age of safe wrestling.
Yeah. That is awesome. That's incredible.
Very fun.
It's fun too, right? And that's very good for the community. They need it right now. We need it right now, especially, right? And with the pandemic hoping to be over soon, I'm exactly there with you. It's crazy how people don't listen. It's not hard to wear a mask. I'm one of the ones that thinks everybody should wear a mask.
Yeah, I have my mask in my car.
Just to save other people's lives, right? Not even your own. If you don't care about your own, fine, but to save other people's lives, right? So let's go back to wrestling here. Let's have some fun questions. Name me some of your top wrestlers. You can name male, females, people you watched growing up. Let's get into some fun questions.
People that I watched growing up, like if Shawn Michaels was on the TV, I was in front of it. You better believe it. Jeff Hardy. I have a giant banner of Jeff Hardy in my room. And I will mark out over him any day, anytime. Let's see. I was a huge fan of China when I was like younger, and still to this day. Let's see. Who else was I like die hard for?
Come on, Toronto's own Trish Stratus.
Oh yes, absolutely, Trish Stratus. Oh my God. I became friends with someone that I used to work with strictly because of Trish Stratus. Like, we both loved her so much. Like, every day it was like, so do you remember this match that Trish had with blankety blankety blank? That was every day. And it was so fun. Yeah, absolutely. Now, when I got a little bit older and I discovered YouTube and independent wrestling, one of the first people, and I think it's just funny and it's come full circle, one of the first people that like I was really just enthralled with was Jessica Havoc. She it went from me seeing stuff of the Switchblade Conspiracy, Sami Callihan, John Moxley, and then kind of going down a rabbit hole of Sami Callihan stuff, and then going down a rabbit hole of Jessica Havoc stuff. And she was one of the first people that, like, when I watched her, I was like, you really can be whatever you want to be in wrestling. You don't have to be China, and you don't have to be Trish.
No.
You can be whatever you want to be in wrestling now.
Good to be you.
And Jess is so organically her, and I loved that. I was so drawn to it, and it really like gave me that push that I needed to really feel that I could be myself, not just in wrestling, but just how I presented myself every day. I could be myself. I didn't have to be what people expected.
Yeah. Well, never be what people expect. Always be yourself. If you're gonna go somewhere, you want to be yourself, right? You don't want to be. I'll go to this. Everybody uses the cutter, the art. And no one, even if the Young Bucks called me and said, Dom, we're going to give you a contract, but you have to talk good about the cutter. Okay, I would. But I hate it. Like, everybody uses it. It's the RKO and the diamond cutter. If you're going to ask me, it's the diamond cutter. So I completely agree with you. And a guy like Cody Rhodes, I'll go there, shouldn't use the cutter. He doesn't need to. So going back to being original, being yourself, 100%, be the first you, not the second China or Randy Orton. You have to be the first you. I'll defend the Young Bucks using the super kick because they took it to another level, but that's what yeah, so name me some of your favorite matches. Let's go back to that. Name me some growing up. I got a bunch. I'm curious what yours are. It can be any promotion, indies, WCW, WWF. Let me know.
Oh my gosh. So I'm terrible with dates. So I can't even remember like what. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. It was one where John Cena gets thrown into a light. And it was a SummerSlam, but I can't remember what year it was.
Was it Edge?
No, it wasn't Edge. I can't remember. I'm so terrible at that kind of stuff. Like,
that's
my
when
favorite matches. Huh?
That's when I stopped watching wrestling for a bit.
Really?
Yeah. I can't even help you there, I'll be honest.
No, it's okay. I just really loved watching John Cena get thrown into a giant light.
Batista?
Huh?
Was it Batista?
Maybe.
I think it was Batista. It might have been. And the fans, if you guys can help us out.
Yeah, if you can help me out. I'm struggling. Like,
through the light, we want to know.
I just have, like, as I got older, I started to really, like, look at the fundamentals and stuff. But things that could catch me off guard. That's what I looked for in one of my favorite matches. Like, if you could genuinely shock me, that's when I was impressed. Yeah. So it didn't even have to be good. I just wanted to be shocked.
100%.
I loved the shock factor. And even now, it's like, because I know so much and I can see how things are constructed. But, like, if someone can genuinely surprise me, I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
You want that it factor, right? The surprise is always amazing, especially for the fans. It's a sin, right? I'll give you an example. Bray Wyatt. There's one wrestler that sucks being is Bray Wyatt. I wrote on Twitter, in a world of Kenny Omegas, AJ Styles, John Cena's, where does Bray Wyatt fit? Because he sucks everybody in. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, whether you love him or you hate him.
Yep.
You can't not watch. You have to watch.
Yeah.
You cannot look away. And that's something that I always wanted to be. Like, whether you love me, whether you hate me, I do not care, but you are watching.
That's it, right? And you want, if they love you or hate you, you're doing your job. Yeah. Depending on your role. 100%, right? I watch a lot of Shawn Michaels and Triple H. As much as people chirp WWE, Triple H does not have the last say. He's very knowledgeable. And NXT is fantastic. So yeah, you got to do the work. You got to be committed, and you got a lot of fans waving at you. And
they said it was against the Big Show. Thank you.
Yes, the Big Show. It was the Big Show.
It was the Big Show. Because I knew it was somebody huge. I was like, I can see it in my head, and I just remember watching him go through that light and being so excited. So yes, thank you. Yes, it was the Big Show. Awesome.
So before I let you go, last question: who's your dream opponent? Where and why? You can pick any indies. You can pick New Japan, Tokyo Dome, AEW, Double or Nothing, WrestleMania, Impact, Rebel, whatever you need. I got you.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to go through my Rolodex of people that I would love to wrestle. I might sound just like a huge mark, but
Yep.
I'm gonna say Jess. I'm gonna say Jessica.
Awesome.
Because I've looked up to her for so long, and I really think that because my gimmick is pretty much the polar opposite of hers.
Awesome.
I really think that dynamic would be awesome. She's so talented, and I would love to just do a rager with her. I would love to put on something incredible, and that's something that I'm pretty sure is going to happen one day. That dream's gonna come true. I'm not sure when, but it's going to. And whether it's at an indie show, whether it's at Slammiversary, wherever it may happen, it's gonna happen. And I'll text you and say, told you so. It's gonna happen.
100%. I'm definitely going to watch that and promote it once it does happen. If you could do a dream match with her, though, at anywhere, it doesn't have to be a regular match, or you want to do multiple matches with a story. I know I can go forever, right? What would it be?
Let me see. I would like to see some sort of storyline.
Me too.
Where I just desperately want to be one of the killer death machines. And she's like, you do not have what it takes.
Yeah.
You don't have what it takes. And I have to go through a series of things that I have to prove myself in order to be one of the killer death machines. And finally, when I'm at the top of that mountain, she just looks at me and says, you're ready. And then we can go. We can just go off.
You give me shivers, eh? Shivers. You actually give me shivers.
Laying waste to people after that. That's my dream. That is what I would love to see.
That is awesome. Well, I hope you do come to Toronto again. I'll definitely be at a couple shows. I am reaching out to a lot of people. I definitely want to get more involved. I have talked to one company, Main Event Wrestling, with Nick Patterson. Yeah. So I definitely can't wait. Maybe we'll even do a live podcast in person. That'd be awesome. I want to thank you for coming today. I'm going to let you say bye to the fans, and thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks everybody for joining. It's been awesome talking.
It has. Thank you so much. I do want to thank you from me and my partners. Not everybody has to say yes, and when I get someone that does say yes, I appreciate it. They take time out of their day. Big fan. I'm going to be following you. Looking forward to the future, especially against Havoc. And I wish you nothing but the best. So everybody follow Gia right here. Gia Miller on Instagram. She's on Twitter. Make sure you follow her. She's open. Follow us, Being the Elite. We are also on Pro Wrestling Tees as the Degenerates. Signing off the twos. Thank you, Gia, again, and have a great day. Thank you so much. All the best. Stay safe.
Dom twos.